Hello and welcome. I'm so happy to have you here while I show you how I made this little Christmas village. You'll be able to see in the video here that it's kind of a traditional looking village, but if you watch all the way to the end, you'll see I actually made two, and there's one with a more pastel kind of light coloured facade. But here we go. Here I have made a little template on paper with roughly the size that I wanted it to be. I basically just drew it up out of my head, imagining how I wanted it to look, and then traced it onto cardboard and then cut the pieces out with a knife. This is the box I had. I just got this from Kmart. It's like a drawer lining kind of box to organise things in your drawers. And I like the size of it, so that was the kind of guide that I was using for the size of the village. So here I am. I've basically just measured it up and I'm seeing how the pieces align together. So I had a back piece there that lined up with the front piece. I'm now tracing the same outline onto some foam. I'm still going to use the cardboard as the backboard kind of part, but the foam makes it easier to do the brick effect that I'm going to have. So you will see me just drawing lines and giving it a bit more of an interesting shape on the outside. I did make another video a few videos back where I show how I do the brick pattern, which I did get the idea from some other YouTubers who I mentioned. But you will see it's very simple. I'm just drawing lines that kind of indent into the foam and it makes the brick pattern. And then when you paint over the top, it really makes it stand out. So now that I've glued those pieces onto the cardboard, I've cut out the shapes where I want the windows and doors to be. Actually, no, it's just the windows. I've got the shapes of the doors sitting on there just to remind myself of where everything will go. But I'm just cutting out the shapes of the windows with my handy knife there. Oh, and this is another little tip that I saw where you press the foil into the foam and it kind of makes the bricks look a little bit more crumbly and more realistic. So as you can see, I've now painted a base colour and then dry brushed some other colours on there. So I used some brown, some very, very pale brown, almost like a goldy colour, and some grey and black to create the effect. And then I used spackle to fill in the gaps so it looks more like mortar. Here I am cutting out the windows. So I had some plastic from some packaging from something in the recycling, so I just easily cut those out and then stuck them on, and that kind of makes the foundation of that piece. At this step, you'll see that I cut out some more of the shapes in the foam. So I cut out the doors and also the signage for all the little shops. And then in Canva, you don't have to use Canva, but I found it easier to find some fonts that I liked and put it onto a creamy coloured background. So I printed out the names of some shops. I had like library, tea and cakes, post office, an oldie sweetie treaty shop, just some fun things that I thought would look cute in a village. And then I also went ahead and made some little signs for the windows. So that's so tiny I can't even read it, so you probably can't either. But I had one in the library talking about a Christmas book club and one about Christmas carol singing. Just anything that would add to that cute Christmas village kind of vibe. And then I stuck those onto the signage. In the next step, you'll see that I then went over it with some varnish. I think that stage was completely pointless in hindsight. It didn't really make any difference to the appearance, but I suppose it does protect the writing a bit more. So hopefully it will not get damaged or marked with anything. At this stage, I'm sticking on some little extra pieces. So this stage is probably optional, but I made just some tiny pieces of clay to make the door handles and painted them gold. It just kind of added something a little bit extra. So that's how it looks overall. Oh yes, and this is the varnish step that is probably quite unnecessary. This is how I made the window frames to make the windows look a bit more cutesy, kind of old-fashioned windows. I know they have a proper name, but I don't know the official name. I just cut some very thin pieces of black foam to make the lines of the windows. This was a bit fiddly. I didn't think it turned out amazingly well, but I hoped that it would just look a bit kind of rustic and like old buildings would kind of look, but it did the job. So because I want to put lights inside the village, I didn't want to be able to actually see inside the windows because there's nothing inside. So I got some very, very thin tissue paper or crepe paper in this beigey kind of colour, and I stuck that on the back of all the windows. This was a fun little extra detail. I kind of imagined the oldie sweetie treaty shop having those, I don't even know how you explain them, but you'll see what I made, kind of like the twirls of the different colours, like a rainbow, kind of like a big piece of old-fashioned candy maybe, but I had this image of them being outside the windows of an old sweet shop, so I decided to try and make some and then add them in, and I quite like how they looked, but I'm not sure if I've made that up now. I can't find any reference to it, any pictures of it online, but let me know if you have seen these somewhere and if I am indeed not making this up. I'm very reluctant to show myself on camera using tools. I truly do not really know what I'm doing, but I've got this little rotary tool which is very effective for making a hole in the back of the wood there. I needed the hole to be able to put the lights inside. So here's a very quick video of me doing that. It took me a lot longer than this, and if I'm doing it all wrong, please don't tell me in the comments. I'm learning as I go. Okay, so now we're back to the inside part. Here I am painting the piece that goes on the back. So this basically just provides a frame for the roof pieces to go onto. This part here is a very cool little trick where I just mix together a handful of gravel and dirt in with some grey paint, and when you paint it on, it just makes it look a bit more real and gives it that kind of rendered kind of effect. So I quite like this. I've done it in a few projects now, so that was pretty straightforward, and then just painting the box which would form the side of the buildings. So now it's all starting to come together. Once that back piece was on, I was ready to make the roof. So I cut the roof pieces out of cardboard again. For some reason I didn't film painting them, but it's pretty straightforward. I cut them out, measured them to size and cut them to the way that they would fit best on each section of the roof, and then painted them black, ready to stick the little tiles on. And here I am again with the foam, this time making the little tiles. This worked reasonably well. I think maybe I should have started from the other side of the roof. I'm not sure. Would it work better starting from the top? I might try that again in another project. But overall, I think it worked out pretty well. And again, doing a bit of that dry brushing technique on the roof, just adding in some more colours. Probably wasn't necessary in the end because it ends up with snow all over it, but I liked knowing that it was there. It made it feel more authentic. And now for the fun part of spraying it with some snow that I got from a $2 shop. Is that what they're called in all countries? As you'll see from the background, it's definitely not snowing where I live in Australia. It is very, very sunny here, which is lovely, but it would be kind of cool if it was snowing as well, since it's almost Christmas. But yes, this is basically how it looked. This part here is just me sticking some lights. I got a little pack of fairy lights. I think they're about 3 meters long, probably a bit too long really. But yes, I just tried to spread those out evenly inside, and then I put the batteries in, stuck it on the side, and that was pretty much it. And so here we are. This is how it turned out. I'm pretty happy for the most part. It was very cute and very fun to work on, and I'm looking forward to giving it as a gift to my stepmom, who really likes the sort of traditional Christmas village. As you will see here, I also made a second one in a sort of different style. I kind of like the whole white Christmas Wonderland kind of thing, so I made the pastel version for myself and the traditional one as a gift. But yes, thank you so much once again for joining me. I hope I'll see you again.